All right. So I have finished Devil May Cry 4 like quite some time ago. It's just been taking me quite kind of a bit to actually make the review about it. Um First things first, from what I could say from like the backstory is I have always wanted to play Devil May Cry 4. I played the demo on the PS3 and loved it, but I just never ended up getting a copy of it or getting to try it out myself. What I had heard of it, not really much to be honest. Um, Nobody ever really talked about that one compared to like what I would hear about like how the second one was pretty not favorable. And the third one being the GOAT. So I just was curious and excited after playing and starting the marathon of Devil May Cry, like where it would lead, and my experience with Devil May Cry 4, especially because I kind of had a few hints to the plot as the years have gone by, to like Dante making a cameo. At least that's what I thought, that it was going to be a cameo for like a specific certain amount of time, besides the actual additional content, and that Nero was a new character who, at this point in time, you might already know details from Devil May Cry 5. So, to my knowledge, Nero wasn't really like that well liked, at least when it came to Devil May Cry 4. And before starting the game, I had heard at least maybe 3 people tell me that Devil May Cry 4 was actually pretty good, and 2 of them from the top of my head told me that this was actually their favorite Devil May Cry, if I remember correctly. And some of them said that it was like it was cool. So again, that just hyped me up for what I was about to experience. Finished the fourth game. Pretty much my impression of it is that I actually really like it a lot. Compare it to previous games that I have played, I think this was pretty close to being, I guess, my top Devil May Cry game. But the thing is that the third one is just really good. It just does everything right compared to like what the first 2 games had done. It felt like everything that came from those 2 games was perfected in the third one. And with this one, you kind of have to experiment and change things up, which it does. And I think it was very worth it. I do find the game very fun. So now I guess we go to the review section and gameplay. I've already touched on it quite a bit, but it is pretty much more or less what Devil May Cry 3 has already perfected, but it has to add a few twists to keep it a little bit more engaging, not because of just story elements, but because it's the fourth game, and I'm assuming they just want to actually not keep doing the same thing over and over again. They want to flesh things out, which Nero does have different abilities that make the combat, at least in my opinion, a little bit more, I guess it gives you like a little bit more freedom to just kind of do whatever the fuck you want. It is very fun, especially when you start taking time to actually get to understand everything. Um, Again, I tried to follow my own rules and just kind of stick to more or less the basics, which is his the Queen Blade. I don't remember the full name entirely, but basically Nero's like startup setup is what I'm saying, like his utilities. Besides leveling up my health and, oh, which is another note that I'll bring up right now. I just use like his basic sword and his basic gun, and tried to stick to that kind of gameplay just because that's what I wanted to do. Very quick, I did play the special edition version. I had no idea that it was going to give me a bunch of orbs. So it was kind of hard to gauge the difficulty of the game and also like what it's like to actually play it raw, because immediately I got 100,000 orbs, I believe it was, and that made it very accessible for me to buy my abilities very early on. And to be honest, I've already played Devil May Cry, the other 3 games, so I felt like if I'm not gonna be able to keep tabs on what I actually pick up on orbs, then fuck it, I'm just gonna buy like my abilities as much as I can. When it came to my health and my devil trigger, I tried to be mindful of it. I didn't try to buy everything right away. I try to like at least have a little bit of leeway to keep that difficulty so I could get the raw experience as much as possible. And again, it did feel like, for the most part, an easier Devil May Cry experience, just because of how smooth the combat is and the gameplay. I didn't really find anything to be really annoying. To be honest, I kind of don't remember the camera angles, but if I'm not gonna lie, I think all 5 games just have that camera angle issue just for the charm of it. Very fun game gameplay wise. I really loved it. So I am recording this after, just because my dumbass forgot. But one thing that I did want to mention is that you also play as Dante, and he more or less plays exactly as Devil May Cry 3. He has all the styles and weapons or utility and combos that were in the previous game, which makes him very flexible. So that's what makes it more of a mastery, like a test of mastery, just because you already have played this character for a long period of time and you're now doing everything in his way, and that makes it very flexible and very fun as well. So we'll go to the story. Without giving any spoilers, I was actually wrong about the cameo thing. It happens in the beginning of the fucking game. Dante is pretty much front and center of everything that's kind of happening. It's kind of like the passing of torch, and it makes a very interesting dynamic. There's like certain things that you kind of backtrack. There is backtracking in this game, but to be honest, I didn't mind it because I feel like the story was well written. It justified it for me because, to me, if you played the game, it shows that like the first half of the game, it's like the trials and tribulations, while the second half of the game, it's like pretty much the mastery of it. And I think that's what makes it well done. I have seen reviews from like people that I actually respect, and they mainly talk about how the backtracking kind of just took everything away, and how that experience kind of makes it like tedious, which I do understand that normally that is pretty annoying, but to me it actually wasn't. And the reason why is because again, I felt like it was justified. However, though, there is a backtracking in a way, I guess, from a boss rush that happens, and it feels like at that point it's kind of stretching. I kind of didn't like that segment at all. And there was like a dice mechanic that really screwed me over for a bit, but then after like a few failures, I quickly realized what the trick for the gimmick was and made it a smooth experience, but it's still kind of relied on a boss rush. Didn't think that part was really like all that good. And one thing that I'll mention in the story as well, without giving too many spoilers, is it felt like Nero kind of took a back seat. I know that this is his first appearance, and like as I said, it's justified, and I did like how the story and the gameplay were handled. But at the same time, it feels kind of like, for the most part, when we stick to Nero, and then it just gets kind of like backpedal, and it's like, all right, well, fuck you. And it just kind of feels like they kind of underutilized the character towards, like, I guess the second half of the game. Kind of makes the ending kind of feel like, is that kind of how it would happen? It doesn't feel like that would be justified if it happened like that. But I think it's very good overall. There is some things. There was a certain character. It was like all right. It was kind of annoying. I don't remember his name at this point, but he's the scientist. His boss fights were like all right, but yeah, it just kind of like, it felt kind of cartoonish, but that's kind of what adds the charm to the series as well. So it is what it is. And the soundtrack was really good. I do enjoy the whole soundtrack as a whole. It does have like some tracks where I kind of didn't even really pay attention to it, if I had to be like completely honest, but like for the most part, it does have really good songs, especially like just the basic first Nero fight song, and the first boss fight song is really good. Overall, you're getting a pretty good package. I did enjoy my experience while playing the game, and it's actually my second favorite Devil May Cry game, just because of how much I enjoyed the experience. I actually beat this whole thing in just one go. That's how attached and fun it was. That I just, for some reason, like, I might have maybe got tired, but I don't remember because I just kind of went through it all. And by the time I was done, I was like, damn, like this wasn't really like that long of a game, and if it was, then I pretty much did it in like no time. Again, it was kind of with some buffs because I kind of got orbs right away, but I am willing to kind of try to play it again. Hopefully, I do see that I think the PS3 version, the original version, is on PlayStation Premium, so you could actually get that experience. So I plan on maybe replaying it through there. I'm not sure how soon that would be, but to kind of get like a more genuine experience of it. But yeah, I really love the game. I feel like I'm kind of biased with this whole series so far, but it's just been a lot of fun. I think it deserves a 10 out of 10. It's done really good. So Nero was actually voiced by Johnny Youngbosch. He's actually from the Power Rangers as well as I think he was the second Black Mighty Morphin Power Ranger, Green Turbo Ranger, and I believe Green Zeo Ranger. So that guy is the motherfucking goat when it comes to anime and Power Rangers as well. So that was also a nice addition that we have two Power Rangers in the series. But yeah, give this series a 10 out of 10, and I'll see you for the next review. It'll be Devil May Cry 5. So thank you.